My little son warned me about his mom. "Dad, don't go home today. I know something about her." At first I thought he'd had a nightmare or heard a scary story at school. By the time that night was over, I understood that my 10-year-old had just saved me from losing my house, my kid, and possibly my freedom. My name is Thomas. I'm 60 years old. I live in the suburbs just outside Dallas, and I still go to work every weekday like I have for the last 40 years. I'm the kind of man who keeps receipts in a shoebox and knows exactly how many years are left on the mortgage. I inherited my parents' old brick house when they passed. We refinanced once, but the title stayed in my name. My father put it that way on purpose. "This is your safety net, son," he told me when he signed it over. "If life ever kicks you in the teeth, at least you'll have a roof." I didn't realize the person trying to kick me in the teeth would be the woman I married. Emily and I had been together for 12 years, married for 10. She's 53, attractive, sharp, and used to getting her way. When Noah was born, she mostly stopped working and turned into what she called a full-time mom with a side gig. A few part-time jobs here and there, some remote work, but the bills were on me. I didn't mind. I grew up in a house where my dad worked and my mom stayed home. I saw it as my responsibility. I paid the mortgage, the property taxes, the daycare, the school supply lists, the endless Spirit Day outfits, the dentist bills. I handled all that and worked overtime when needed. What I wasn't prepared for was how much Emily hated the fact that the house wasn't ours. She never missed a chance to remind me. "In the U.S., the house should be a family asset," she would say, usually when we were cleaning or when a bill came in, "not some little shrine to your parents' generation." One Sunday afternoon, I was fixing a loose cabinet hinge in the kitchen. She stood by the island, arms folded. "You realize I've lived here a decade and my name isn't on anything," she said. "You live here." "It's your home," I answered. "What's in the county record doesn't change that." "It changes everything if something happens to us," she shot back. "Do you have any idea how this looks? I've given you my best years. I stay home with your son, and on paper, I'm a guest in your house." "We've talked about this," I sighed. "It's an inherited property. Legally, it's separate. That's just how it works." She stared at me for a long moment. "No," she said softly. "It's how you want it to work." That kind of thing didn't happen once. It became a theme. Every few months, the complaints would come back in different packaging. We'd be driving past a big new development and she'd say, "All those women in there are co-owners of something. Must be nice." Or she'd drop lines like, "If I was smart, I'd have made you put my name on the house before Noah was born. That's what my friend Kelsey did." Kelsey, her friend who knows a bit of law, was divorced and proud of the fact that she'd walked away from her ex with the house, the car, and a good chunk of his retirement. Emily admired her more than she ever admitted out loud. At first I thought it was harmless venting. Everyone has insecurities. But little things started to pile up. She began throwing around phrases like financial abuse because I wouldn't add her as an equal cardholder on my oldest credit card. "You're acting like you're some generous benefactor," she snapped one night when I reminded her we needed to stay on budget. "This is supposed to be a partnership." "It is," I said. "You manage home and Noah. I bring in the paycheck. That's our setup. And you keep the house in your name so that if things go south, I walk away with nothing." Her eyes narrowed. "In the U.S., women have to protect themselves. Kelsey says—" I cut her off. "I'm not Kelsey's ex, Emily. I'm your husband." She gave me a tight smile. "Maybe that's the problem," she said, and walked out of the room. It didn't help that she'd started spending more time on her phone, FaceTiming Kelsey and some other girlfriends, complaining about money, about me, about how men don't understand the emotional labor women do. Most of the time, I let it roll off my back. I'm old school. You keep your head down, pay your bills, take care of your kid, and you don't make problems bigger than they are. Men my age have learned the hard way that family and money can twist together in ugly ways. But over the last year, something changed in Emily's tone. It wasn't just complaining, it was cold calculation. One evening, she came into the living room with her laptop open to some article. "Did you know," she said, "that women are more likely to get primary custody in divorce because the courts recognize who really does most of the parenting?" "Why are you reading about that?" I asked, not looking away from the game. "Information is power," she said lightly. "Besides, a lot of women get blindsided. They trust their husbands, and then it's too late." "Too late for what?" I asked. "For anything," she said. "For the house, for the kids, for a fair arrangement." She closed the laptop with a soft snap and stared at me over the top of it. "That wouldn't happen to us," I said, "because we're not doing this divorce threat dance." She smiled then, too sweet, too slow. "You're right," she said. "We're not doing it." But her eyes said something else. After that, she began picking fights over small things and making sure Noah saw. If I came home tired and sat on the couch for 10 minutes before helping with homework, she'd sigh loudly. "Must be nice to clock out at 5, she'd say. "Some of us are still on shift." If I reminded Noah to put his dishes away and he dragged his feet, she'd snap. "Well, maybe if his father wasn't so controlling, he wouldn't be anxious all the time." It felt like she was building a record, a story in Noah's head where I was the problem. I took Noah fishing one Saturday to get some peace. We were in a little county park, sitting with our lines in still water. He was quiet, way too quiet for a 10-year-old boy. "Everything okay, buddy?" I asked. "Mom says you get mad a lot," he said. I watched the bobber. "Do you think I get mad a lot?" Noah shrugged. "Sometimes. But mostly you just look tired." That one hurt more than the accusation. "I'm sorry I look tired," I said. "I don't ever want you to be scared of me. You know that, right?" He nodded and leaned against my arm. "I know, Dad," he said. "You're not scary." I thought that was the end of it. I thought I just needed to be more patient to keep my temper in check, to survive this rough patch and maybe suggest counseling. I did not know that while I was thinking about counseling, Emily and Kelsey were putting together something a lot more dangerous. The night everything started, Noah was the one who paid the price first. According to him, he woke up because he had to use the bathroom. The house was dark except for a light coming from our bedroom. On his way past the hallway, he heard Emily's voice. He peeked around the corner and saw her sitting on the edge of the bed, FaceTiming Kelsey. The screen lit her face in blue and white. "He won't even see it coming," Emily was saying. "In the U.S., the cops believe the woman first." "Kelsey, that's literally what you told me. I want the house and the kid. He can live in his truck." Noah froze. He told me later that his heart was beating so loudly he couldn't hear the rest. He heard words like bruises, pictures, emergency protective order, primary custody, alimony. He isn't smart enough to see it coming. He said he stood there in the hallway, barefoot, suddenly very aware that his pajamas were too small and his father snored down the hall. He went to the bathroom, shut the door quietly, and sat on the closed toilet lid for a long time, trying to understand what he'd just heard. I didn't know any of this yet. That night, I slept like a rock. The next afternoon, I picked him up from school like usual. It was a Thursday. Hot, dusty Texas afternoon, the kind where the sun bakes the parking lot and heat shimmers above the cars. Noah climbed into the truck, backpack thumping into the back seat. Usually he talked about school right away. That day he buckled his seatbelt and stared straight ahead. I checked the rearview mirror. "You okay, buddy?" I asked. He swallowed. "Dad," he said quietly, "don't go home today." I laughed a little. "What, you want to go straight for ice cream first?" "No." His voice was flat. "I mean it. Don't go home today. I know something about her." Those last 4 words made the hair on my arm stand up. I put the truck in park and turned to face him. "What do you mean, Noah? Something about who?" He kept his eyes on the dashboard. "Mom," he whispered. "I know something about Mom." I pulled out of the pickup lane and drove to the first fast food place I saw. We went through the drive-thru and got him a Sprite. I parked under a scraggly tree at the edge of the lot and turned off the engine. "Okay," I said. "Take your time. Tell me what you heard." At first he shook his head, eyes shining. "I'm scared," he said. "I know," I answered. My voice felt like it belonged to someone else. "You're safe with me. You're not in trouble. Just tell me what you heard exactly. Start from the beginning." That's when he told me about the night before. The bathroom trip, Emily on FaceTime. He won't even see it coming. In the U.S., the cops believe the woman first. I want the house and the kid. He can live in his truck. He told me about hearing the words bruises, pictures, and emergency protective order. He said Emily laughed when she said I could live in my truck because he loves that truck so much, maybe he can marry it next. I sat there, hands clenched around the steering wheel, listening to my 10-year-old describe my own wife planning to call 911 on me for something I hadn't done. I felt something inside me go very, very still. When he finished, I took a breath. "Thank you for telling me," I said. "I'm proud of you for telling the truth. You did the right thing." "Are you mad at Mom?" he asked. Mad didn't begin to cover it. "I'm worried," I said carefully. "Very worried. But you don't need to worry about me going to jail or losing you. I'm going to take care of this. That's my job." "Are we going home?" he asked. "Not right now," I answered. "Right now, we're going to make a couple of stops. You and I are going to be detectives, okay? You're my most important witness." He nodded slowly, small fingers twisting the edge of his backpack strap. I started the engine and pulled out of the parking lot. Instead of turning toward our neighborhood, I turned toward downtown. The first person I called was a cop I trusted. Mark and I had known each other for years. We met when he took a report after someone broke into my truck at a job site. Turned out we both liked old country music and the same barbecue joint. We'd stayed in touch. He'd come over for a couple of backyard cookouts, known Noah since he was a toddler. I hit the hands-free button. "Hey," he answered, voice rough like he hadn't slept much. "Mark, it's Thomas," I said. "I need to ask you a hypothetical question. A bad one." "Those are never good, Thomas," he said. "What's going on?" "Let's say," I said, keeping my tone even for Noah's sake, "that my wife is planning to call 911 and claim I beat her, even though I didn't. And she's talking about bruises and pictures and protective orders. What should I do?" There was a long pause. "What makes you think that's happening?" he asked. "My son heard her planning it on FaceTime, with a friend who knows a bit of law. He gave me specific phrases. She's been obsessed with the house and custody for months. It fits." Mark swore softly under his breath. "Are you in the house right now?" he asked. "No, I've got Noah. We're in the truck." "Good. Don't go home," he said immediately. "I'm not saying she'll do it tonight, but you need to assume that once she's decided on this move, it's just a matter of time." "Noah told me to do the same thing," I said. "Smart kid," Mark answered. "Okay. First call is not me. It's a family lawyer. You need one yesterday. I can't give you legal advice, but I can tell you how 911 is going to handle it if she calls. And yes, in domestic calls, especially with a woman reporting, the default is to protect the alleged victim. You do not want to be walking into that blind." "I can go to a hotel tonight," I said. "You can," he said. "But before you do that, get a lawyer. I'll text you the number of someone good. And Thomas?" "Yeah?" "Start saving everything," he said. "Texts, emails, anything. And don't, under any circumstances, confront her about what the boy told you. Not yet. Don't give her time to clean up her tracks." We hung up. A minute later, my phone buzzed with a name and number. Alicia Bryant, Family Law. I called her office. Her receptionist put me on hold for all of 30 seconds before coming back. "Mr. Carter," she said, "Ms. Bryant can see you in 45 minutes. Can you make it here?" I looked at the clock and at Noah. "Yes," I said. "We'll be there." We drove downtown into a world of glass buildings and parking garages and people in suits who didn't look like they'd ever had dirt under their nails. Noah clutched my hand as we rode the elevator up to the 3rd floor. We sat in a conference room with a big wooden table and a wall full of law books. Alicia walked in, small, sharp-eyed, mid-40s, in a navy suit that meant business. "Mr. Carter," she said, "I'm Alicia, and this must be Noah." He gave a shy nod. "He's here because he's part of why we're here," I said. She sat down across from us, opened a legal pad, and clicked her pen. "Mark gave me a heads up," she said. "Start at the beginning. Tell me everything. Don't leave anything out and don't sugarcoat." I told her about the inheritance, the house, Emily's resentment, the comments about family asset and protecting herself, the late-night FaceTimes with the friend who knows a bit of law, the phrases Noah overheard the night before. Emily wants to call 911, show bruises, get an emergency protective order, kick him out of his own house, get primary custody, go after the house as marital property, and ask for alimony and child support. Alicia's pen moved quickly. She didn't interrupt much, just asked for dates, approximate times, and whether any of it was in writing. When I finished, she looked at Noah. "Would you be willing to tell me in your own words what you heard last night?" she asked gently. Noah looked at me. I nodded. He took a breath and repeated it all, his small voice getting steadier as he went along. When he repeated the line about me living in my truck, Alicia's eyes hardened. "Okay," she said when he finished. "Thank you, Noah. You did the right thing. You were very brave, and I believe you." Noah's shoulders dropped a little with relief. Alicia turned back to me. "Here's the situation, Mr. Carter. Your wife is planning to weaponize the domestic violence system against you. It's disgusting, but it happens. The good news is that you know about it ahead of time. That gives us a chance to stay ahead of her." "What do I do?" I asked. "First," she said, holding up a finger, "you do not stay at that house the next few days, especially evenings and nights. Sleep anywhere else. A hotel, a friend's house. I don't care. Just not there. If she wants to claim you assaulted her, she's going to need you there. Don't give her that." "Okay," I said. "What about Noah?" "That's trickier," she admitted. "Right now there's no court order. Technically, either parent can have him, but if you leave with him without telling her, she could try to flip that on you. We'll handle that step carefully. For tonight, Noah can stay with you as long as you let her know in writing that he's with you and safe. No drama. Second," she continued, "you build the strongest alibi you can. The night you think she's most likely to pull the trigger, maybe a weekend night, you put yourself somewhere with cameras, receipts, and witnesses, not sitting alone in a motel room. Somewhere public, a busy restaurant, a movie theater, even a hotel bar. Save receipts, take date-stamped photos, wave at every security camera you see. Third, we preserve evidence. You mentioned a shared iPad?" "Yes," I said. "We bought one for Noah's homework, but Emily uses it for Netflix and things. It's tied to our family Apple account." "Good," she said. "If she's texting her friend about this plan, there's a chance those messages synced. Do you have access to the iPad?" "If I drive home right now, yeah," I said. "She doesn't get home from her part-time job until 6. "You will not stay," Alicia said. "You will go in, calmly, like you're just grabbing something, and you will look for evidence. Screenshots, photos, anything. Then you leave." "Can you record what your son told you?" she asked. "Yes," I said slowly. "My phone has a voice memos app." "Good," she said. "After you leave my office, you're going to park somewhere quiet, and you're going to record him telling the story again. Clearly. You'll ask simple questions. Who, what, when, where. Then you'll email that file to me and to yourself. Do not edit it. Do not coach him beyond telling him to tell the truth. She leaned back. Meanwhile, she said, I'll put your local police department on notice through official channels that we anticipate a false report. Your friend Mark will help. That doesn't mean they won't respond if she calls. Of course they will. But it does mean they'll know there's another side coming and that we have hard evidence. What about the house? I asked, voice low. Can she actually take it? It's inherited property, Alicia said. As long as you didn't commingle it badly or retitle it, it's your separate property under Texas law. That's a strong starting point. However, if she got an emergency protective order, she could get exclusive use of the house during the proceedings. That's why this is such a nasty play. She's not thinking long-term. She wants leverage now. We're going to make sure she doesn't get it. What are the risks? I asked. For me, for Noah. The risk, she said, is that something goes sideways and you get arrested on a false charge before we can get the evidence in front of the right people. Once that happens, even if it's all lies, the stain can stick. The other risk is emotional. This is going to be confusing and painful for Noah. We'll need to protect him as much as possible. She tapped her pen against the pad. On the flip side, she added, if we do this right and if the evidence is as strong as it sounds, your wife could be looking at charges for making a false report and for perjury if she lies under oath. And in family court, judges take a very dim view of parents who try to manipulate the system like this. It will blow up in her face. That sentence was my second hook, the one that made my anger transform into something colder and sharper. She hadn't just tried to ruin my life. By plotting out loud, on FaceTime, in a house with a 10-year-old, she'd handed me every tool I needed to blow up her plan instead. We left Alicia's office with a to-do list and a knot in my stomach. In the parking garage, I opened the voice memos app on my phone. Noah, I said, you remember how Ms. Alicia asked you those questions? He nodded. I'm going to ask you the same questions again, I said. I'm going to record it. You just tell the truth in your own words. Don't try to sound older or smarter. Just be Noah. He swallowed, then nodded again. I hit record. Okay, I said. What's your name? Noah Carter. How old are you? 10. Who is your mom? Emily Carter. Who is your dad? You. Can you tell me what happened last night? Start with why you woke up. He took a breath and spoke. You could hear a car door slamming somewhere in the background, the hum of the garage lights, his small voice describing how he heard his mother say, he won't even see it coming. In the U.S., the cops believe the woman first. I want the house and the kid. He can live in his truck. When he finished, I stopped the recording and played it back to make sure it worked. Then I emailed it to Alicia and to myself from 2 different email accounts, then backed it up again to a cloud drive. If that recording disappeared, I wanted it to be because the internet exploded, not because I'd been sloppy. After that, we drove back toward our neighborhood. Are we going home now? Noah asked. Not for long, I said. We're going to grab a couple of things and then stay somewhere else tonight. Just you and me, like an adventure. Will Mom be mad? He asked. She might, I said, but we're doing this to keep everyone safe. That's what I want you to remember. We pulled into the driveway at 4:24. Emily's car wasn't there. I knew from her schedule she wouldn't be home before 6. I told Noah to grab his essentials, school Chromebook, 2 changes of clothes, toothbrush, his favorite stuffed animal he pretended he was too old for, but still slept with when he was upset. I went straight for the shared iPad in the living room. The screen lit up at my touch. I opened the Messages app, and my stomach flipped. The conversation with Kelsey was right there. Whole threads. I scrolled and took screenshots as fast as I could. Kelsey: I told you, in DV cases, they move fast. Emily: so I just call and say he hit me? Kelsey: you need bruises, pics with timestamps, and you need to sound scared, Not angry. Emily, I can handle scared. Kelsey, once you have the emergency order, he's out. Then we talk custody in the house. TX judges won't throw a mom out with a kid. Another day. Emily, he still thinks I'm just complaining about the title. Kelsey, men are dumb about this stuff. Emily, I want the house. I'm done playing grateful little wife in his parents' home. The day before. Emily, I'll do it this weekend, Saturday night. He always goes to that bar with Steve to catch the game. Kelsey, perfect. 9/11 will believe you before they believe some old guy who didn't do anything. Emily, he can live in his truck for all I care, as long as I get Noah and the house. My hands shook as I took screenshot after screenshot. I sent them to Alicia, Mark, and to an email account Emily didn't know I had. I printed a few on our little home printer just in case. Then I checked the photo gallery. There they were. Pictures of Emily's arms and legs with darkening bruises. Some were clearly old. Some, I realized with a jolt, could have been from when she bumped into the kitchen island last week and made a big deal about it. She had captioned one too much and sent it to Kelsey. Kelsey had replied, "Add makeup to darken edges. Google it. Wait 24 hours before calling so they look ripe." I felt sick. I grabbed my own important documents from the home office, passport, birth certificate, the deed copy my father gave me, insurance policies, and shoved them into a folder. I didn't want to strip the house, just not leave myself helpless. We were in and out in 30 minutes. I locked the front door behind us and walked Noah back to the truck. "Where are we sleeping?" he asked. "Hotel," I said. "We're going to make it a fun night. Maybe there will be a pool." We checked into a mid-range hotel off the highway under my name. While Noah flipped channels on the TV, I sat at the little desk and sent Alicia everything. Screenshots, photos, a summary of the day in bullet points. She called me within the hour. "Thomas," she said, "these messages are gold. They show planning, intent, and a conspiracy with a friend to file a false report. This is exactly what I hoped for, but didn't want to count on." "What now?" I asked. "Now we wait and we control what we can control," she said. "You'll go to work tomorrow like normal. Keep everything calm. Answer Emily's text in a neutral tone. Do not mention lawyers, police, or what Noah told you. Let her think you're in the dark." "And Saturday?" I asked. "Saturday night," she said. "You're not going to your usual bar with Steve. You're going to a place with more cameras, somewhere family-friendly, busy, and boring. Take Steve with you if you like. Keep receipts. I'll let Mark handle things on his end if a 911 call comes in." We followed the plan. Friday I went to work, my stomach in a knot all day. At lunch, I called Mark. "You were right to call Alicia," he said. "I've forwarded what she sent me to my lieutenant and to the sergeant who usually supervises patrol on your side of town. Officially, if she calls, officers have to respond. Unofficially, everyone now knows there's a serious allegation of a planned false report that will change how they write things up." "What does that mean in plain English?" I asked. "It means they're going to look at her with more skepticism than they usually can afford in these calls," he said. "And they're going to be very careful about timelines." That night I brought Noah back to the house for dinner like nothing was wrong. I didn't want him to feel like his whole world had turned upside down overnight. Emily acted normal, maybe a little too normal. She kissed Noah's head, asked about school, made spaghetti. When Noah went to his room to play, she cornered me in the kitchen. "You've been weird," she said. "Did something happen at work?" "Just tired," I said. "It's been a long week." She tapped her fingernails against the counter. "You taking Noah fishing Saturday?" she asked. "I might," I said, playing dumb. "Depends on the weather. Steve asked if I wanted to catch the game with him in the evening." Nothing in her face changed, but something in her eyes did. "Right," she said. "The game." Saturday arrived hot and bright. During the day I kept everything very ordinary. We went grocery shopping. I fixed a loose board on the backyard fence. Noah rode his bike with the neighbor's kid. Around 4, I told Emily, "Steve texted, we're going to watch the game at that new sports bar in Addison. Big screens, cheap wings. I'll be back late, probably after 10. Noah okay here?" She waved a hand. "Sure," she said. "We'll have movie night." My heart hammered, but I kept my face neutral. I texted Steve to meet me at a different place entirely, a big chain restaurant off the tollway, the kind with 50 TV screens, a very visible bar, and cameras everywhere. On my way there, I called Mark. "Tonight is probably the night," I said. "We're ready," he answered. "If she calls, I'll get pinged. Stay put, keep every receipt, and if you can, take a few selfies with the restaurant signage and a visible clock or TV. Timestamps matter." At 6:30, Steve and I took a table near the bar. I made sure the security cameras over the bar were pointed squarely at us. "What's going on, man?" Steve asked. "You usually don't care where we watch the game." "My wife might be calling the cops on me tonight," I said. He choked on his soda. I told him a condensed version, leaving out Noah's more painful details. "I need you to remember exactly where I am between 6 and 10, I said, "and if needed, to tell that to officers in a calm voice." "Of course," he said. Jesus, Tom. We ordered wings. I paid with my main credit card, making sure to sign the receipt clearly. At 7:15, I asked our waitress if she'd mind taking a picture of Steve and me with the big TV in the background, game clock and channel logo clearly visible. "Sure thing, honey," she said, snapping 3. At 8:02, my phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "When are you coming home?" I showed it to Steve. "Take a picture of that," he muttered. "This is insane." "Soon," I typed back. "Game's at halftime. You okay?" No reply. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Mark calling. I stepped outside to answer. Standing under the restaurant's bright logo, security cameras above the door. "She did it," he said without preamble. "Call came in at 7:43. Your wife reported that you came home drunk, punched her, and then left in your truck. Patrol is at your house right now." I closed my eyes for a second. "Is Noah okay?" I asked. "He's there," Mark said. 2 units responded. One of the officers just called in that the kid looked scared but unharmed. They tried to separate him to talk, but your wife keeps inserting herself. They're suspicious. "What do I do?" I asked. "Nothing," he said. "Stay at the restaurant. Keep eating your wings. I'm driving down to the station. When they bring her in for a formal statement, Alicia will meet us there with the screenshots and recordings. Do not go home. Do not drive anywhere near your neighborhood. Do not text her anything except neutral small talk if she messages you. Understood?" "Understood," I said. I went back inside and told Steve. His face went pale. "Do I need to stay?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "If this goes to trial, I'm not going to be the only person who remembers where I was." We stayed until 9:30. I paid, got another receipt, tipped generously, and thanked the waitress by name so there'd be a record someone heard me use it. By the time we walked out, my phone had 3 messages from Emily. "I can't believe you left me like this. You're a monster. They know what you did." I didn't reply. Alicia had told me silence was safer than anger. Mark texted at 10:07. "She's at the station," he wrote. "Alicia is here. Sit tight." Those next 2 hours felt longer than the last 40 years. I went back to the hotel instead of home. Noah wasn't with me, and that burned, but I trusted that a room full of cops, even cautious ones, was safer for him than a house with a woman who'd just lied to 911. It was close to midnight when my phone rang. "Thomas," Alicia said, "are you sitting down?" "Yes," I answered. "What happened?" "Your wife gave a full statement," she said. "She cried, described in great detail how you came home drunk at about 7:30, screamed at her about money, grabbed her by the arms, and threw her against the wall. She showed them bruises and old photos of bruises supposedly from past incidents. She asked for an emergency protective order. So far, that sounds about right, I said bitterly. What went wrong for her? What went wrong, Alicia said, is that the officer taking her statement had already read the email I sent with those screenshots. And Mark was sitting right behind him. When she finished, he asked her casually when she first started thinking she'd need to protect herself this way. She said, just this week. She lied, I said. Yes, Alicia answered. Then he slid a printed screenshot across the table. The one where she talks about doing this weekend and how men are dumb about this stuff. What did she say? I asked. She stuttered, Alicia said. Then she said she'd been venting. He nodded and slid another screenshot. The one with the bruises and Kelsey telling her how to make them look ripe. Then he played Noah's recording. For a second, I forgot to breathe. You played it already? I asked. I asked your permission by email, Alicia said. You didn't object. We had to move fast. The officer asked her why her 10-year-old son would say, in detail, that she'd said the cops believed the woman first, and that you could live in your truck if she got the house and kid. And? I asked. And she started screaming that you'd poisoned Noah against her, Alicia said. The officer asked how you could have poisoned him when you supposedly stormed out drunk less than an hour before the call, and Noah had been with her since then. She didn't have a good answer. I heard faint voices in the background on her end, papers shuffling. Bottom line, Thomas, Alicia said, the officer declined to request an emergency protective order on her behalf. Instead, he noted inconsistencies in her statement and forwarded everything to the detective unit with a recommendation to investigate possible false reporting. They released her to go home with a warning that further lies could lead to charges. What about Noah? I asked. He's with a CPS worker at the station right now, she said. Mark's with him. They wanted to talk to him away from both parents because of the conflicting stories. He repeated what he told us. They're leaning toward letting him stay with you tonight, at least temporarily, while they sort this out. I closed my eyes in relief. Can I pick him up? I asked. Mark will bring him to your hotel, she said. In the meantime, do not contact Emily. Do not go home. We're going to file for divorce and temporary orders first thing Monday morning. We're going to ask for you to have primary possession of Noah and for a court order confirming you have exclusive use of the house during the proceedings. We'll attach every piece of evidence we have of her attempted setup. I sat there on the edge of the hotel bed, looking at the generic painting on the wall, and realized I had just watched my marriage die without being in the room. At 1 o'clock in the morning, there was a knock on the door. I opened it to see Mark standing there, looking exhausted, with Noah at his side holding a small duffel. Hey, Dad, Noah said, voice small. I pulled him into a hug. You did good, buddy, I whispered. I'm proud of you. Mark stepped inside. I can't stay long, he said, but I wanted to explain a couple of things. CPS is going to want to follow up. They're concerned about how much Noah has been exposed to. But right now, everyone on the professional side is leaning your way. Emily's story doesn't mesh with the timeline, especially once they pulled your card transactions and security camera footage. They already did that? I asked. Mark nodded. You paid for wings at 6:58, he said. You and Steve sat in direct view of 3 cameras from 6:30 to 9. We have you on footage laughing, eating, looking at your phone when she texted. No signs of you coming or going. Meanwhile, she claims you were at the house at 7:30 beating her. It doesn't line up. What happens to her now? I asked. Detectives will take over, Mark said. They'll interview her again, pull her phone records, maybe talk to this Kelsey woman. If the DA thinks they can make a case, they'll file charges for making a false report and possibly for tampering with evidence if the bruises were doctored. He rubbed a hand over his face. I've seen real victims beg us to believe them, he said. People like your wife make it harder for them. That's what really ticks me off. Noah fell asleep in the hotel bed between us, clutching his stuffed dinosaur. Mark left, and I lay there in the dark, listening to my son breathe and wondering how we would ever put his world back together. Monday morning, Alicia moved like a storm. She filed for divorce on my behalf, citing insupportability and Emily's attempt to manipulate the legal system. She filed for temporary orders requesting that I be named temporary primary conservator of Noah. Emily have standard possession on a schedule, supervised at first. I have exclusive use of the house during the proceedings. The court confirmed the house as my separate property. She attached Noah's recording, the iPad screenshots, printed photos of Emily's bruises along with messages about darkening them with makeup, the police report showing the inconsistency between her claims and my alibi, and noting the ongoing investigation into false reporting, affidavits from me and Steve about where I was that night. 2 weeks later, we went to our first temporary orders hearing. I wore the only suit I own. Alicia sat beside me, calm and composed. Emily sat with her attorney on the other side of the courtroom, wearing a pale blouse and an expression that flickered between fury and panic. She wouldn't look at me. When the judge walked in, everyone stood. He was an older man, mid-60s, the kind who had probably seen every kind of family drama human beings can produce. He listened to Alicia first. She spoke clearly, laying out the facts. Inherited house, long marriage, recent increase in Emily's resentment about the property, Noah's statement, the FaceTime conversation, the iPad messages, the bruising photos, the 911 call, my alibi, the police report. She didn't embellish. She didn't need to. Emily's attorney tried to argue that the screenshots were taken out of context, that Emily was venting and role-playing worst-case scenarios. He said she had genuine fear from past incidents, but had struggled to find the courage to speak up. "Mr. Carter has no prior criminal record, correct?" the judge asked. "That is correct, Your Honor," Alicia said. "And he was not arrested that night," the judge continued. "Instead, the investigating officers have opened a case regarding possible false reporting. Is that accurate?" "Yes, Your Honor," Alicia said. Emily's attorney tried to pivot to emotional arguments, but the judge wasn't buying it. He asked Emily directly why she had told Kelsey, "Men are dumb about this stuff, and once I have the house and Noah, he can live in his truck." She stammered, saying it was a joke, a stupid moment. "The problem I have, Mrs. Carter," the judge said, "is that your jokes line up very closely with your actions. And the person who appears to have been most affected by all of this is your 10-year-old son." He granted my temporary orders almost exactly as Alicia had requested. I got temporary primary custody of Noah. Emily received standard visitation on weekends, supervised at first by a third party. I was granted exclusive use of the house during the proceedings. The judge stated on the record that, based on the information currently before the court, the house appeared to be my separate property. As we left the courtroom, Emily shot me a look that could have burned holes through concrete. "You did this," she hissed under her breath when Alicia stepped ahead to talk to the clerk. "You turned my own son against me." "No," I said quietly. "You did that when you made him part of your scheme." She opened her mouth to say something else, then shut it and walked away. It took another 6 months for everything to settle. The criminal side moved slowly. Detectives interviewed Kelsey, who tried to brush off her messages as supportive joking. They pulled Emily's search history. They confirmed that some of the bruises she used in photos were at least 2 weeks old when she claimed they happened the night of the alleged assault. In the end, the DA filed a misdemeanor charge for false report to a peace officer. Emily cried in court, said she was confused and overwhelmed, and had overreacted. The judge accepted a plea deal: 1 year of probation, mandatory counseling, a fine, and a requirement that she complete a course on domestic violence dynamics. I won't lie. Part of me wanted her led away in handcuffs, facing felony time. But another part of me knew that even a misdemeanor on her record would follow her. She'd never again be able to say, "I'm a victim," without someone in authority looking twice. In family court, the evidence of her attempted setup colored everything. The custody evaluator recommended that Noah stay primarily with me, with increased time with Emily, only if she showed consistent, healthy behavior and stopped bad-mouthing me to him. When Emily's attorney tried to argue that the house should be considered partly marital property because she had put her labor into the home, the judge shut it down. Labor in the home is accounted for in other ways, counsel, he said. The title history, inheritance documentation, and the way Mr. Carter managed the asset all indicate separate property. That will be confirmed in the decree. In the end, the final orders read like this: divorce granted, joint legal custody, but with me as the primary parent. Noah lives with me. Emily has regular visitation on a set schedule. The house confirmed as my separate property. Emily gets no interest in the house itself. She receives a modest portion of our joint savings and a small spousal support amount for a limited time so she can get back on her feet. Each party pays their own legal fees, but the court takes into account wife's conduct in dividing the remaining assets. Emily moved into a small rented apartment on the other side of town. It's not a bad area, but it's a far cry from our quiet street with the big oak tree out front. She had trouble finding work at first. A probation record for false reporting tends to make HR departments nervous. The friend who knew a bit of law stopped answering her calls once detectives started asking questions. Noah still sees his mom. I would never take that away from him. But things are different now. Their relationship has a scar running through it that I don't know will ever fully heal. We started therapy. He has a child counselor who specializes in high-conflict divorces. I have my own therapist who listens as I vent about betrayal and age and starting over at 60 in a way I had never planned. As for me, I kept the house. Some nights I sit on the back porch with a cup of coffee, looking at the fence I fixed in the swing set we bought when Noah was 3. The house feels both familiar and new. It's quieter, cleaner, sadder sometimes, but also more honest. I changed the locks. I updated my will. I set up a trust for Noah so that one day, when I'm gone, this house can become his without any question marks attached. And on one more quiet night, long after the court dates and police interviews were over, I did one more thing. I wrote it all down, every detail, every message, every choice. The way my 10-year-old son saved me with one scared sentence: "Dad, don't go home today." Then I opened my laptop, went to that corner of the internet where people tell stories of revenge and justice, and I posted it. I didn't use our real names. I didn't name the city or the restaurants. I didn't need to. I just told the story of how my wife tried to use the domestic violence system to steal my house and my kid, and how, because my son listened in the hallway one night and had the courage to tell me, she ended up with a probation record, a small rented apartment, and supervised visits. Emily wanted the house, the kid, and a fresh start with my assets. She got a fresh start, all right, just not the one she planned.
My grandpa's worst really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales stories like this, hit subscribe.